So this is Miss Morningstar. Today we are solving systems of equations using another method called substitution. The last method was equal values, and this is another method to solve the system of equations. So we worked on the equal values method, and that's when you set both of the equations equal to the same variable when you solve for that variable. Okay? Today you will develop a more efficient method of solving systems that are too messy to solve by setting the equations equal to each other. So I actually didn't include this example this is actually from your book, but let's say you had, I just want you to understand what that means about being messy. So if you had this system of equations, which is two equations with the same variables, you couldn't use equal values method because this has an m equal to everything, but this m is not solved for. So when it talks about them being messy, and by the way, you should be writing this down, to solve this for this m, you could divide everything by 2. Because this means times 2, so to undo times 2, you divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now you have m equals, this is 1/2 n, or n over 2, plus 1/2. Okay? So now you could use the equal values method because they're both equal to m. If they're both equal to m, that means this has to be equal to this. So now you could use the equal values method, but why is that messy? It's messy because there are fractions, and I know how most of you feel about fractions. Now actually later on, I can't remember if it's Algebra 1A or 1B, we will solve some like this and we'll talk about how to make them simpler, but not today. So this is what I mean when it talks about them being too messy. This is actually more quickly solved using substitution. Alright, so, and this is actually out of your books. Actually, if you had your book and you wanted to follow along, you could. Avoiding the mess. Alright, a new method called the substitution method, you might want to underline that, can help you solve the system. Oh, you don't have problem 4.31, I didn't include that on your note page. But the one I just showed you did have fractions. So this is the method outlined below. I want you to take a couple minutes and, hit pause. And I want you to read all of this. When you're ready, turn it back on. So, hopefully you read all of this. If y equals negative x minus 7, the question is, then does negative x minus 7 equals y? That is, can you switch the y in the negative x minus 7? Yes, you can. Please write down on your note page right now. Hopefully you haven't already done so. Give me a reason. Why or why not? Okay, since you know that y equals negative x minus 7, can you replace it? Once again, you can replace it. I want you to give me a reason why you think that is the case. Once you replace the y in the second equation with negative x minus 7, you have an equation with only one variable. So see how you only have x's down here? This is called substitution because you're substituting or replacing y with an expression that it equals. So you need to solve this equation. The way I also kind of talk about it is, if this is me, and let's say I'm sick or one of my kids is sick, who comes to take my place? A substitute teacher, right? So if I'm y, and negative x minus 7 is my substitute teacher, you should be writing this down, by the way, or make your own notes. Doesn't my substitute teacher take my place? So the y, I'm not here anymore, but my substitute teacher has taken my place. So if you rewrote this, and it's the same thing down here, I am not here. I'm sick, my kid's sick, whatever. The substitute takes my place. That's why it's 5 times this, and then just the rest of the equation. The substitute's taking my place. We don't look the same, we're not the same person, but the substitute teacher is going to do my job as best as they can, because of course I'm amazing and no one can take my place. But what I would like to do now is hit pause, and I would like for you to make a good effort to solve this equation right here. It's still filming. Please be quiet. Please be quiet. Okay, that was my daughter. So I'm going to go and review this with you because some of you are not that great at solving equations right now. You need to get better. So to solve this, your order of operations, you want to get rid of the parentheses. So you need to distribute. 5 times negative x is negative 5x. 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. And then just keep everything else. Check your first step. Did you get it right? The next thing I would do, this is an equation with variables on both sides. If they're on the same side and these are like terms because they both have x's, you can combine them. So negative 5, if I borrow $5 from you and pay you back 3, I owe you 2. Now, this is a two-step equation. So you would like the variable by itself. How do you undo? Subtract 35. Add 35. Here's your wall. Add 35 to both sides. Anything, if you add opposites, you get 0, which is kind of the point. 35 minus 13 is 22. To undo times negative 2, you divide by negative 2. Did you get x equals negative 11? I'm pretty impressed if you did. Now, to actually solve the system, you actually have to find the y value. Remember, that makes it true because it says solve this new equation for x. We did that. X is negative 11. Then use that result to find y in either of the original equations. So we got x equals negative 11. I'm going to use this one, this equation. And what did I say it was equal to? Negative 11. Is that right? Okay. Negating a negative makes it a positive. 11 minus 7 is 4. So your solution to the system, to this system right here, is, what is it, negative 11, comma 4. That means if I were to substitute, put a negative 11 in for the x and a negative 11 in for this x, and a 4 in for here, this one would check. If I put a negative 11 in here and a 4 in there, it would check. If you're having trouble with that, write that down on your question part for your questions, the spot for questions. Use the substitution method to solve the systems of equations below. There are 4 examples here. I think we're going to do 1 or 2 together, and then I'm going to have you I'm going to guide you through one, and then you're going to try one. So to use the substitution method, you have to have a variable solved for. It means you have to, like this says a y equals, so the y is solved for, here the y is solved for, the next two, x is solved for, c is solved for. So you could do equal values, but that could get messy. You would have to solve for this y and then set them equal, and there would be fractions. So substitution will work for this. Y is me, and 3x is my substitute teacher. If I am not here for some reason, the substitute teacher takes my place. So, if I'm not here, my kid is sick, whatever, then I will not be here at school. The substitute teacher will take my place. So, instead of 2 times I'm y, it would be 2 times 3x, because the substitute teacher is taking my place. Minus 5x equals 4. You should be writing this down, by the way, and really trying to learn. Now, hopefully you can solve an equation. First thing, you get rid of parentheses. 2 times 3x is 6x. Okay, these are like terms because they're on the same side of the equation. 6x minus 5x is 1x, or just x. So x equals 4. You don't have to divide by 1. The 1 is. 1x and x are the same. There's your x coordinate of your solution. Pick either one of the 2 equations. I prefer this one. It's less work to put the 4 in right there, then put the 4 in there and work it out. You can do whatever you want. So y equals 3 times x is 4. So y is 12. So your solution to this system is 4, 12. It means if I put a 4 in here, 3 times 4 will give me a 12. If I put a y is 12, 2 times 12 is, I'll show you. I shouldn't keep doing this. 2 2 times 12 is y. X is 4. This would be 24 minus 20, that's 4. If I were to graph this equation and this equation, guess where they would intersect? 4, 12. If you want me to show you that tomorrow, I'll show you that tomorrow. Alright, the next one, let's see, y is solved for, so you can use substitution. Y is me, x minus 4 would be my substitute teacher. If I am sick or one of my children is sick, the substitute teacher takes my place. Because if y is equal to x minus 4, then I can put the x minus 4 in place of the y. So if I'm not here, you're going to leave me out and put my substitute teacher in. Once again, hopefully at this point you're getting a little bit better at solving equations. You know, when you use your order of operations, you need to undo all the parentheses first. Actually, simplify what's inside parentheses, which you can't do. Then the next step would be to multiply. This is a multiplication. Either way, you're undoing the parentheses. This is the distributive property. Negative 5 times negative 4 is 20. Hit pause on the video and try to finish solving it. Hopefully you were able to get this. These are on the same side of the equal sign. They are like terms. 8x minus 5x is 3x. Two-step equation. I hope at this point you're getting better at it. You want the 3x by itself. To undo, add 20. You subtract 20. 3 times what number gives you 9? X is 3. Or you could undo times 3 by dividing by 3. X is 3. Oops. Then once again, to get the y value, you pick either equation, either original equation. I prefer the top. You can do what you want. I'm going to put the 3 in for x. If I have $3, I'm sorry, if I borrow $4, pay you back 3, add what you want. So the solution to this system is alright. I would like for you to take a minute, hit pause on the video, and try to set that up. You solve this using substitution. I'm sorry, the directions were the same. You solve the following systems using substitution. And go ahead and substitute and see if you can solve it all the way out if you can. Hit pause and come back whenever you're ready. Alright, so this is me. The x is solved for, so you can do substitution. This is my substitute teacher. Substitute teacher takes my place if I am not here. So, I'm not at school. The substitute teacher takes my place. Tries to do my job as best as they can do. So, you should already have this worked out. So I'm going to go a little bit more efficiently because these steps are the same as the last one. I distributed 2 times 3, 2 times negative 2y. So, combine like terms. These are like terms. Those are opposites. Negative 2y plus 2y. They're opposites, so when you add opposites, what do you get? 0. 2y minus 2y is 0. 6 equals 18. What does that mean? There's no more variables. This is actually kind of a special case because you don't have like x equals like 5 or y equals 3. Because there are no variables, is this a true or a false statement? Does 6 equal 18? No, it is a false statement. That means there is no solution to this system of equations. means there's no x and y values that I can fill in to make both of them true. What does that mean about the graph? What does that mean about the graph? If I were to graph this line and graph this line, what do you think would happen with the graph? I mean, if the solution is the point of intersection and there's no solution, would there be a point of intersection? There would not be. If you were to graph on the graph, you would get parallel lines. Oh, it wasn't. You would get parallel lines because parallel lines do not intersect. So I didn't think to put that on your note page. I guess remind me, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Alright, for your homework, what I would like for you to do, I know, this is all homework. I would like for you to make a great effort to solve this using the equal values method. If you're struggling with all of this right now, then go back and watch the video. Or go back and look at your notes. You know, you need to make the effort to try to learn. I think this, I told you this flip in the classroom, I think it's kind of cool, but if you don't do what you're supposed to do and try to learn, it doesn't matter anyway. So, also, I forgot to leave a page, or write down your questions here. I forgot to do that. So, just at the bottom of this, write this down. Write down any questions that you may have. When you come back in tomorrow, or Monday, whichever day it is, I will expect to see you have made a great effort taking notes. When I ask you to write down why or why not, you should have this pretty filled out. And then you should have made a great effort on number 4, and I'm going to look for any questions that you might have. I will see you the next time.